Old Man River.
Getting good.
I'm so freaking tired. No more tag.
The band started with friend Robert, had an interest in it. We would go to shows just around the country, and Robert said, "Oh, it'd be sweet if we could have our own band. Let's start one. Oh, I think Throbbing Testicles would be an awesome name for a band."
And at some point to this day, I cannot remember where I came up with the name. I honestly don't. I just remember leaving him a message saying, I came up with the ultimate idea for our band, and our band is going to be called the Throbbing Testicles. And I'm pretty sure the only response I got back from him was, "That's gross."
And we kind of laughed about it for a while, and finally we were just at his house. I brought my guitar that's crappy. I don't know how to play guitar. And we just started coming up with some songs to try and record.
And we didn't know how to play it at all, so he plugged it into the amp, he had it on full distortion, and he just laid it across his lap, and he was just beating it on the frets with his fingers. And I came up with some stupid song. That's where we did Leprosy. And it was just screaming and this horrible note. It was funny to us at the time, and then we put it together, and I created a MySpace before, and we stuck it up on there. We're all excited. We're like, yeah, we're a band, you know?
Mike, we did it.
Leprosy.
Don't give me your leprosy!
It is 8:05, and the Leprosy, the Throbbing Testicles have a Leprosy song.
We didn't have drums, so we used plastic Tupperware, which we broke from hitting it too hard. The sound recording in a living room is not very good, so it sounded pretty terrible.
The second day we did Bees. And that song from start to finish was created in like an hour. And I remember his exact words. He was like, "I'm going to fiddle around with this guitar, and in 5 minutes, you better have a song ready to be written." I'm like, okay. And I just remember looking around, and I looked out the window, and I'm like, I was thinking about having to mow the lawn, and I was like, I don't want to mow the lawn because it's hot outside, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I always had problems with bees when I got sent. I don't like bees. And just there, I just started writing it, and then the lyrics never changed. That's just the lyrics how they were from start to finish. To this day, the crappy lyrics says bees. And he came up with a little guitar riff, which to this day we can't replicate the cool sound of it. Like, I'll still listen to the original demo, and there's just a tone of it when he did it. And
Bees! I don't like bees!
Eventually, I added 2 more songs onto that, and we created our own little EP. It's called Harry Frog. And in May, I made a ton of copies of it, and I think we still have a couple of copies left. But I've given them out to people, I've thrown them at people at concerts and things. If anybody still has them that has that or has ever heard it, they'll acknowledge that it's just a steamy pile of 5-minute crap. Is really what it is. I've got 5 songs on it, it's not even 5 minutes long.
When I first heard of it, I was living with Nick at the time when he started. Actually, I think before he actually joined, and he was like, "Yeah, Robert and Mike's got this band, and here's some stuff on MySpace," and it was Bees and Leprosy. And Bees I thought was really neat. You had the buckets and the guitar on the lap, playing like that, and I was like, that's kind of neat. And Leprosy sounded like a bunch of groaning, and I was like, that's kind of not neat.
I heard about Robert and this whole little project through this girl that I was talking to. I pretty much walked up to him and I said, this stuff's really cool. Let's get something going, and the magic started. We made sweet musical love, and I cried.
Repeatedly.
I've known Nick the longest. I met him when I was working at Target, and right off the back, I started a friendship with Nick just because I could see the craziness that he is. And
Nick and I have always worked really well together. We always usually have the same kind of idea of how a song should go and when a change should happen. Usually just, if you work with a musician long enough, you can just look at him and say, it's going to change right here.
I like drumming with Nick. Because I've never really drummed with another bass player except Bill one time. And don't have much of a range of options there.
I was really excited whenever Nick had heard this crappy music that Mike and I had made, because it was like, well, this is a guy that I wanted to get to know a little better and hang out with.
It's a lot of fun because I get to see the dumb faces he's making now. I can look over at him and just, see the ridiculous mane of hair.
Nick and I were the only ones who were doing stuff at that point, and we came up with little songs. We messed around. We came up with Jimmy. Eventually, we did Mystery Box and a couple other things.
Are you ready? I'm ready.
I was born ready.
I think it's funny to see that one day I went over there and they were having Flaming Death Fairies practice, and Nick picked up the bass, and we had Rusty on guitar and Travis on drums, which ironically, everyone in that room at that point, at some point, would be in our band. And we played a full band version of Bees, and I think that was the final nail in the coffin of me ever doubting that we were going to do something with this, because the way that song sounded, just from messing around with it for a couple hours, I was like, all right, I can't stop now, I have to keep doing this.
I remember it sounding terrible. I remember I was trying to play Bees, and I was playing just the normal bass line and messing that up, like a second, and then having to stop because we screwed up.
Yes! Yeah!
Let's hear it, man. Let's hear it. I gotta hear this shit.
Nick started talking to Josh. He just started working where we were at, and he invited him over to play music. Like, he and Nick were gonna start a band, something or other, and I instantly took this as an opportunity. As soon as Nick was telling me that he played guitar, I was like, you should play guitar for us instead. So I completely destroyed any dreams that Nick had of collaborating with Josh and his musical talent.
Come back, Josh. We love you.
I met Josh, and at that point, I was just asking random people if they played instruments. And I went up to Josh one day just because he was kind of a funny guy, and I asked him if he played guitar or anything, and he was like, yeah. So we decided to have him over, and he played a little bit with us. And
Josh had some cool randomness.
But he never wanted to play anything the same.
Would play something at random, or he would try to play a song that he had heard and fail, and then we would turn it into a different song.
Whenever we would do stuff, he was always a lot of fun. He always had a lot of energy and a lot of crazy ideas. And his guitar style, I've never seen anybody play the way he does. It's kind of like halfway he knows what he's doing, halfway he's experimenting, and halfway I'm just going to strum like a crazy person and just dance around and just see what comes out, which is what a lot of his stuff would be.
He kind of had this cool random element to him, especially with Leprosy, because I don't know how he played that. He just moved his fingers everywhere. Sounded neat.
Became cooler because Nick does know how to play guitar, but he's not a guitarist. So Nick switched over to bass. He's had lots of experience with that, and we'd have Josh on the guitar, and so we were creating new stuff.
Next.
You gotta edit in some lightning bolts.
I slide it under it.
Then we just, when the punch comes down, bang! Boom! Murder! Yeah!
Josh came up with a couple melodies of things, and when he came up with this melody, Black Rob, and we all had that stuck in our head for weeks, and it made us so mad.
We got kind of a loose interpretation of Leprosy, and what did he do? Grandma? Also, I think he did. Yeah.
We talked to Derek, and we're like, hey, we need a drummer.
Hello, Derek.
Hi!
Hi.
I'm really tired and haven't had enough energy drinks.
He's like, yeah, if you're ever free, you should come do something for us. We've got a band. We're looking for people to be in it. Something like that. Asked him what the name of the band was, and he told me the Throbbing Testicles, and I laughed kind of. I was like, yeah, I'll have to check that out now.
Derek's sexy.
It almost feels like we're cheating sometimes with Derek because he is the music person of the world. I don't know how to really describe it, but whatever he's doing, he just knows he can hear it and he instantly has a solution to what we're doing.
And he plays sexy drums.
With us, I forced him to be our drummer. I gave him the opportunity to be our drummer.
Apparently I was going to be needing to play drums, which I really don't do. Never did much of before being in this band.
His fingers are very much like mine.
If Derek's not on board, then it's just not going to happen because nobody really listens to me.
Honest opinion of the band was that's retarded. But I didn't forget the name, so when I went and played, I kind of went, what the heck am I getting myself into? This is not going to be anything ever. This will never be anything. Really. That's it. This will never be anything more than we're going to play stupid songs in this kid's basement. Probably get kicked out at some point because of what we're doing.
Magically, we were a band. Like, overnight, all four of us, we were... It was weird to see, because it's like, we're the Throbbing Testicles. We're a real band.
You know, a lot of times Nick would write things on guitar, and then Josh, later Chris, would learn to play whatever Nick came up with. Change it a little bit and tweak it around, and then Nick would play his bass part, so we'd come up with something cool, and then 3 or 4 practices later, or maybe after a show, he would decide to change it and he got tired of it.
We all just kept practicing week after week, and little things here and there didn't work, other things did, and by January of 2008, we had a mini little set list, and we're like, we could play a show. We could go from start to finish. So then I was like fishing around. I'm like, I want to play shows and everything.
My opinion of the band has never been, and still isn't to this day, we're taking ourselves incredibly seriously. We're going to go get famous, get signed, put out 16 albums, become the next Rolling Stones and grow old and never die. No.
And then Josh, he ended up moving. I don't remember where exactly, but he was moving. And so we're like, well, crap, we need a new guitarist. He tabbed out all the songs, because we'd come up with a lot of songs at the time. And we searched around for a new guitarist. And eventually we got lucky, and Rusty came along.
Oh no! Y'all ain't coming up here. Look! Oh, y'all on my side of town now!
There's something to be said about him and his guitar ability. Nick oftentimes is calling him like a musical genius, and I would like to say about the same thing. I always feel very overwhelmed with him and Derek and even Nick. Everyone else has this vast background of music experience and different bands and being able to play multiple instruments, and here I am, just this dude who's just dancing around like a retard.
I do not like bees, not here, not there. Not even the one swarming in my underwear.
He took Josh's guitar parts. We gave him the tabs and everything for it, and he played them. And then as we played them together, he's like, "Well, okay, I'm playing them like he played them, but what if I did this?" And he threw something in there, and it was in the same vein of what Josh was doing, but it took it up a notch, and it filled gaps in some sound that there was, and it was just really interesting to see how things worked out with that. Rusty offered us to play at our first show, and it was very scary. At least for me. Everyone else is very excited about it, because like I said, everyone else had played shows before. I don't. I had never done anything like this before. I was very excited about it, but it was very scary at the same time. It was a very stressful build-up to that show.
It is impossible that this band is about to go play a show.
Not believing that we actually had the resolve to actually go through with it. You know, it was always just a joke, and I always referred to the Throbbing Testicles as my fake band.
Tried to clear my mind of what I was going to expect, because everything I'd heard up to that point was god awful.
The Testicles came on, and I had no idea what to expect. And from the first note to the last, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, this is one of the best shows I've ever seen. Musically, entertaining. It was, I'm just thinking that's, I've seen Nick play shows. I know, Derek had a music background, and Robert was just always that really quiet kid, and then he is just like he's born on the stage. I was absolutely dumbfounded by how great they were.
The first time I ever met Robert was through a milk gallon challenge. I was like, that's the lead singer. He just puked 9 feet of vomit. I was like, that's doing wonderful for his vocal cords. I was like, that's awesome.
I was crapping my pants. If you watch the beginning, I'm like nervous. I'm nervous as anything. But the second that we started playing, it was like, all right, here we go. Just do it. And I don't remember anything else.
Holding it down cause I wanna be proud. Bringing Brown Town around with the big sound. We don't longing to just bust your booty out. Make you scream and shout, make your mama pound. I'm one of the girls with the big breasts, but I don't discriminate, so I pass Nikki the rest. All the girls, be they red or black, make the girl kick me in the nutsack.
People showed up en masse, large throng in front of the stage. I think they had on our t-shirts. No, they did. They had on our t-shirts, and we hadn't even really sold any t-shirts yet. So that was pretty awesome. They cheered along, danced along, somehow knew words to our songs. It's pretty surreal. First time I'd ever played a show in a venue like that.
All of a sudden, this little quiet dude that puked 9 feet of vomit gets up there and it is interacting with these people that left and they returned to see the Throbbing Testicles. I was like, wait a minute, my band doesn't even have people that come back.
And I'd look over at Nick, and Nick was dancing around in his cowboy hat, and Rusty doing his normal thing. Derek looked bored to tears behind us.
Robert's all jumping around. Nick's going. And Rusty is like jumping around, and I was like, these people are really, really wild. I was like, how does Derek fit into this? But he was like, I'm in this band called Throbbing Testicles. I was like, why is your band called Throbbing Testicles? It's like, it's a funny name. I was like, sounds like it hurts.
Why is it that the drummer has to do so much work?
What?
Why is the drummer
I don't know. It's your kind of your choice, isn't it?
I'm playing drums. I'm playing drums. I'm playing drums. Playing drums.
First show at Downtown Music was very, very, gosh, like, it went by way too fast. It was kind of unprofessional and really rough.
I'm playing drums.
And so from then on, I would go to shows when I could. I just liked watching them.
People were enjoying us, and I don't know why. From then on, I would get more people adding us on our MySpace, people talking about us. I'm like, that's that dude from the Throbbing Testicles, and you guys are crazy. And from then on, it's like, oh, it's on now. We have to keep doing this.
And Robert was wearing some nasty pants. Nasty, nasty pants.
Make sure you get this. Every time you come over, the sock is I'm open to
I didn't do it!
Nick.
What?
Nick, seriously? Seriously, Nick!
Who else is always here when that happens?
I don't care if it's Derek. You can stop him. He's got the camera.
What the hell did I tell you? Always it's me.
right off the back, from the beginning, I was like, I want to record a full CD.
We just released today, very today special, our full-length debut album entitled Your Music is Bad and You Should Feel Bad. Because it is and you should.
Exactly. It had gotten to the point that by then, when we actually started talking about an album, that I was like fully behind this band to the point that I thought if we recorded a CD and it was good, that people would buy it and people would enjoy it. And I'd always wanted to make a CD of some kind.
Recording was a lot of fun. Very tedious, but at the same time it was a lot of fun, especially since we weren't pressured by time.
Today is Saturday, October the 18th. Today we were supposed to be recording our CD. As you can tell, we are not.
It seemed totally doable on a very low budget. In fact, I think we spent gas and food money, and that was it, to actually do the thing. Got everything else. We borrowed equipment, weaseled things out of people, and made Nick spend time away from his girlfriend to record the thing.
I just remember, being fun and being frustrating and being all those things that I always heard about, recording a CD. And it was just a lot of fun, and the experience was really great. I want to do it again. I want to do it 100 times.
There was no one on our back doing it. We were doing it all ourselves, so if we messed up, it's like, well, okay, we'll just start over. We just used my computer and we recorded it with Audacity.
It's very tedious. It's definitely not like playing live. It's not like playing a show. And especially if you're an imperfect perfectionist like me, where you're never going to get anything just right, you want to do things over and over and over again, and taking off the likes of Derek and Bill, who have to sit there and just be like, this is never going to work. That's fine. Just leave it. And eventually I'm just like, okay.
That's going on the video. This is going on the DVD, and what you just saw that was great.
I just f***ed up the easiest song known to man.
Got his bass parts most of the time, and the times that he didn't, he never stopped. He would go take after take after take until he got it right, and he knew when he was. I mean, he was the one asking to do things over. We didn't. It wasn't us sitting there going, "No, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do it right," because Nick was professional enough to do that on his own.
I don't remember when it first clicked, but Mike would have a habit of yelling at people driving by.
The title of the CD is Your Music is Bad, You Should Feel Bad, because I like to yell that at people who have shit music or bad music. I'm sorry.
And the more he would say that, the more I'm like, that would be a really good title for a CD. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that. And so I vowed from then on that that's what the CD was going to be called, even before a CD was even possible.
Bill helped out a lot with the mic placement, with things like that, because I wasn't able to be in two places at once, unfortunately. When I was playing drums, I couldn't really be I couldn't really be tracking the drums while I was playing them. I'm not an octo man or something.
Enjoyed it. Very, very much a learning experience.
Like weekends in October all the way through the end of November, we were just we set up our recording equipment in Nick's house, and we just did it ourselves. We started with the drums, and then we went to bass, and then guitar, then vocals, and then extra vocals and stuff. And Derek suggested that Mike sing backing vocals on Grandma after he was recording our show at Juanita's, and you could hear him over the band. Through the camera. He was walking around the camera, and you could just hear him singing louder than anyone else. He always said that he loved that song.
The first time I did it, it was fine. It sounded good. Then they screwed up the recording. They lost a bunch of files, so I had to go and do it again. And that day, I couldn't hit the notes.
No way.
For that part. So I tried to do it many different times. Derek was able to mix it into a chorus effect. But it was fun. It was odd doing that in someone's garage.
He's got some pipes. He just built the sounds on it. So.
Is that what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah, you missed out a long time ago, buddy.
We're all silently bound to go home.
No! I will not go! I will run away and hide! And you only can I confide! Woo!
And especially adding him on stage dressed as Grandma singing along with me, it's awesome.
It's time for you guys to meet the man of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, Manly Grandma.
My favorite parts of recording the CD, honestly, were not the music. My favorite parts of recording the CD were the bits and pieces of yelling and screaming and retardation that happened.
But especially the intro and extra, I guess I'll call it, of the CD were pretty fun. I got to be very angry.
And so Derek just took my computer and had it at his house, and he could just work on it at his own leisure. And I would get text updates throughout the night over the next couple of weeks saying, this song's done, this song's done, this song's almost done. And I just left it all in his hands, and I'm so grateful for it.
I set up for like 2 weeks of my life without much sleep at all. Coming home from school, going straight into my room and locking myself in there for 7 hours working on songs. That's probably my favorite part of the whole process.
Getting to go over to his house, like the day that we put the CD, burned them all together, and hear what he'd come up with, I was like, this is magic. You're the man.
This man single-handedly mixed and mastered this entire CD. Give it up for Derek, he's the man. Talented, no sleep, working hard.
We just got ourselves a new guitar player named Travis. Travis is freaking awesome.
I was at that point a big fan of the band, and the opportunity came along. And
I'm taking you with me. Your boyfriend can't say anything about it, I'll tell you that.
I remember after our show at the soundstage, we were all having dinner, and he and Tracy were there with us, and he was like, hey, if you guys ever need another person playing guitar, or if you need somebody to switch out for you, because he plays like everything, but guitar especially, if you guys ever need it, he goes, I'm down for it, I'm more than willing to help you out.
It seemed like a great opportunity. It's like, I could play these songs that I really like to hear and help out my boys, and it just seemed like something that would be stupid to pass up.
Really looking forward to playing on stage with Travis. We haven't done anything since the last Sleep Knowing show, and it's gonna be neat playing on different things. I mean, Travis is gonna be playing guitar, but I've never played bass. Opposite of him, so that's gonna be neat.
It's going to be a completely opposite stage presence from what the previous guitarist had, who was very small. Travis is a little bigger. I think it balances out the stage a little bit better because you have big guy on the right, big guy on the left, and little bitty Robert in the middle.
It's good! It make you sweat time! Good! It's good! Yeah! It make you sweat! It feels good! Make you sweat!
It's not like we're not the greatest rock stars of any era, but we are the most awesomest rock band in the history of rockdom.
We've done our CD, we've had time, people have heard it, people have bought it, people have listened to it, we've played our shows over and over and over.
I believe the next album that comes out will sound 100 times better than what this album sounds like.
It's always kind of fun to do something new. It's been a long time since I've been on stage. I'm just really looking forward to it.
We get on stage, we do what we do. If people like us, that's awesome. If people don't like us, we still love them and possibly try to help them anyway.
have ideas, and we're all itching to just create new music.
No, I mean, this band is not egotistical about anything.
Especially just thinking about how stupid and idiotic the band is. It was, is, and will always be, and that's part. That's always the big charm. And, you think about that when you go on stage and you go, you know what? Everybody's the goal is the same. It's to have fun and be stupid.
As long as it stays fun, and as long as we're enjoying ourselves, and we don't take ourselves too seriously, we'll keep doing this. But the day that this band becomes a burden, and it becomes more stressful, and it's not about having fun anymore, that's the day that this band is done. And the way that we're going right now, I don't think that's going to happen for quite a while.
Yeah, the Throbbing Testicles is awesome. And that's the bottom line. Because whatever I say is right. And your opinion doesn't matter, so shut up. Get out of my face.
Dance, Bill, dance.
Ding,